All right, so we are back. Mistakes that you want to avoid while going through the home buying process, part two. I'm sure that you're listening and you're watching and you're thinking that a lot of this stuff is common sense. And then for some, they're probably saying, you know what? They made these mistakes and they say, nobody ever told me. So listen, stay tuned as we jump into it. Mistakes that you want to avoid as you go through the home buying process, part two. I am Derrick.Benn, real estate agent selling Tacoma, Washington. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. Now, all of these are mistakes that you want to avoid. I mean, ultimately, these things can really cause you to take a back seat on buying a home. You don't want that to be you. You don't want to waste all the time that you put in, all the effort that you put in to get to this point to where you're able to go out and shop for a home. You want to clearly define what are your compromises, or what is your compromise versus what is it that you need. And what I mean by that, sometimes I advise those that I'm working with to write it down on paper. Write down on paper as you get started, and definitely as you get out there and begin to shop for homes. Write down on paper, what do you need? And then write down on paper, out of what you need and what you want, what are you willing to compromise on? That's clearly defining it, because once you get out there and you start shopping for homes, you're going to run into that home that has everything you need, but then there's going to be things that it doesn't have that you want, and you haven't clearly defined what your compromises are. Guess what? You're going to pass up the home that was a perfect fit for you. So you want to make sure that you avoid making this mistake, not clearly defining what it is that you're willing to compromise on versus what it is that you need. Another thing that you want to avoid doing, you want to avoid clearing out your savings account, right? The funds that you have in your savings account or your checking, a lot of times the lender wants you to have those funds in your savings account, but you want to avoid, number one, before we even get to clearing it out, you want to avoid spending the money that you have set aside for your home purchase. There's some out-of-pocket costs, out-of-pocket expenses, and if you're paying your own down payment along with your closing costs, funds that you need to bring to the closing table, don't dig into those funds. Make the sacrifice to not touch that money so that you'll be able to close. If you clear out your bank account, then your lender, and more importantly, the underwriter, is going to see that, and you're not going to be able to purchase a home. Why? Because you have no verified funds for your purchase. Okay. Now, if your contract is written up to where those things are taken care of, you still don't want to empty out your bank account. So you don't want to empty out your bank account before or during. I'm not a financial advisor, but I think it would be wise to not even empty it out afterwards, because you're going to need those funds. This is your home. This is your investment. You want to protect your investment. But more importantly, what I want to get at is you want to make sure that you do not spend the funds that you have set aside for your home purchase, and you do not want to clear out your savings account, because that will stop you from purchasing a home, at least for a while. While we're talking about money, the other thing is you want to disclose to the lender your source of funds. Of course, yeah, the lender should verify the source of funds up front, but sometimes it doesn't happen, right? I had a set of buyers who had a source of funds, and we were nearing close. It's always the most disheartening and the most frustrating when you get close to close. So you get in the contract, right? Being able to get in the contract on a home has always been a little challenging over the past few years. It's just become more challenging within the past 2 years. Anyways, you go through all of that to get into contract to purchase the home. You have the inspection, you pass inspection, then you're preparing for appraisal, or appraisal happens and you get close to close, Then you find out that you're not going to be able to close on this purchase. The lender's not going to be able to close on the loan because your source of funds are not a qualified source of funds to be able to close on a home. I had a guy, and he didn't know this. It's something that I could have verified up front as well. So real estate agents watching, go ahead and put this in your bag. I could have verified up front what was his source of funds for his down payment. We had negotiated to be able to have the seller pay for his closing costs or buyer concessions. But the source of funds that this individual or these individuals were using for the down payment, it was a loan. If you get a loan or take out a loan or have funds that are loaned to you and you plan on using those funds for your home purchase, guess what? That counts against your debt to income ratio. That's what it did for these guys. They were not able to close on a home because it was counted as debt. So don't make that mistake by not disclosing the source of funds that you're going to be using for your home purchase. Lastly, this is a big one too. You want to avoid speaking with the seller directly. This is why you hire a real estate agent like myself to be able to represent you so that you can speak through me. You're communicating through. All right. So you're communicating through your real estate agent. If the seller has hired a real estate agent, then the seller is communicating through their real estate agent. The reason why you want to avoid speaking with the seller directly is because promises can be made between the two of you. When promises are made between the buyer and seller directly, then issues can arise. One of the parties cannot fulfill the promise that was made, and then guess what? You'll end up in court and you'll end up wasting some money trying to fight because one of the parties didn't keep up their side of the deal. Not only that, you and the seller can begin to negotiate. You guys can say something that would upset one another and cause one or both of you to back out of the deal. So it's just not a good deal, and it's not advised to talk with the seller directly, and the seller should not be talking to you directly. That's why you guys hire us. You guys hire us so we can communicate on your behalf, represent you, and this is also in our RCWs, right? That we exercise with skill and care. So we show that we're professionals. We show that we know what we're doing and that we don't intentionally or even by making a horrible mistake put you in a bad position that's going to land you in court and or cause you to lose money or even cause the other side to have leverage over you during the transaction. So if you are mindful of not making these mistakes during your home buying purchase, you will have an enjoyable one. But as I always say, buying a home can be like a roller coaster. All in all, if you enjoy the ride, then you'll be able to celebrate at the end. Make sure before you jump to the next video, make sure that you go ahead, do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.